Kobolds are better than goblins. Just gonna let that sink in. Howdy, my name is Nonat, and welcome to the deep dive for the Kobold Ancestry for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Added way back in the Advanced Player's Guide, which somehow feels like years ago, even though it was only a little over a year ago, the Kobolds were finally added as a playable character race, and people were ecstatic. So let's just talk about these things. They've been around. Every other Pathfinder player has at least theory-crafted a Kobold. Let's talk about how they work mechanically. Hold on, Kobolds are cute, but I have to do a sponsorship because they paid me to! Look at this! This is the Battle Zoo Bestiary! It's full of really cool monsters that were designed by people like you! Okay, I'm gonna stop that. That's getting really annoying now even to me. I'm being serious though. This is last year's Battle Zoo Bestiary, which is full of new creatures for Pathfinder 2e designed completely by people like yourself. Players, GMs, just fans of the system submitted their own monster designs, and this year they're doing it again. Roll for Combat is holding the RPG Superstar 2021 contest with the strange and unusual theme. They want some weird and cool monsters that they can add to next year's Battle Zoo Bestiary. Using the link in the description, you can go to rpgsuperstar.com, sign up, and enter up to 3 unique monster designs into the competition. Your designs will be analyzed by professional game designers and possibly given a bronze, silver, gold, or platinum ranking, or even the grand prize. There will be over 100 winners this year, and each one will get their share of a cash prize, as well as full recognition in next year's Battle Zoo Bestiary. Your name is going to be displayed right on the page alongside your monster. So if you want your chance at a cash prize, the recognition, and just to see your own custom monster come to life, check out the link in the description to rpgsuperstar.com and enter today. Hurry up though, because deadline is December 7th. You've got about a month left, maybe less, to enter into this contest and have your shot at the prize and get yourself in a book. It would just be so cool to be in a book, guys. Speaking of which, if your name's already on a book, you can't enter, I'm sorry. If you have a printed credit anywhere on a hardcover TTRPG book, you are forbidden from entry. But everyone else is allowed to, which means I can, and I'm going to. Guys, it would be really cool to be in a book. So thank you to Roll for Combat for sponsoring this video. Now we can talk about the cute little kobolds and their big puffy cheeks. The first thing to note about kobolds is that they get a unique choice other ancestries don't have to make. Their Draconic Exemplar. Even if you never take a feat or feature that uses it, this will still determine the color of your scales as a kobold. All of the available dragons are here, and they each are assigned their own breath weapon shape, damage type, and saving throw used to resist it. Kobolds, spoiler alert, do have access to breath weapons, and they will change depending on your exemplar. I'm not going to go over all of them, but you can see them all on screen right now. Kobolds are tiny, little, frail, uncommon things. They do actually have the uncommon trait, so you do need GM permission to use them, and they only have 6 hit points and are a small size. Kobolds are really pretty wimpy in Pathfinder, and I think that's why we love them so much. They may be small, but they still have a movement speed of 25 feet and boost to dexterity, charisma, and a free boost, and their flaw is, of course, to constitution, because if they get stabbed by a toothpick, they'll probably fall unconscious. They speak Common, Draconic, and additional languages equal to your intelligence mod. Humanoid trait, Kobold trait, and Dark Vision. That's like the first good thing we've seen about kobolds, is that they have Dark Vision, guys. Don't worry, I know they sound unimpressive, and it's kind of because they are, but that's also why we love them. Let's talk heritages, shall we? Cavern kobolds are really good at climbing walls. In fact, when you succeed at an athletics check to climb a wall, you move half your speed instead of 5 feet. And if you crit succeed, you get to move your full land speed up a wall. Now, these do specifically need to be rock walls or naturally occurring walls. You couldn't do this up like a sheer castle wall face, you know what I mean? But as long as there is some naturalness to it, you know, it's like unaltered stone, you can probably roll this improved check. Additionally, if you have the quick climb skill feat, you get to move your full movement speed even on a normal success. That's gonna be impressive at early levels. And I love this, you automatically crit succeed normal acrobatics check successes to squeeze because, again, you're tiny and frail, so you can hide away in little holes real good. Dragon-scaled kobolds, you gain resistance equal to half your level against the damage type of your Draconic Exemplar's breath weapon. If you are a red dragon kobold, you get resistance equal to half your level to fire damage. Don't underestimate this, especially for something like the newly released Innovator, which has the chance to deal fire damage to themselves. Being able to just reduce that with your heritage is awesome! And if the damage is specifically coming from a breath weapon, the resistance is doubled to your full level. That is kind of awesome. If you're level 15 as a kobold fighting the same color dragon as yourself and they breathe fire on you, hey, you're resisting your level in damage. Technically, it's not going to be exactly your level, because if you're level 15, that gets halved and rounded down to 7, so you only double it back up to 14, but you know what I mean. It's cool. The Spell Scale Kobold is a magical kobold who gets 1 arcane cantrip. Yada yada yada, innate spell, uses charisma, auto heightens, it's a cantrip. Strong Jaw Kobolds are awesome! You get a 1d6 unarmed jaw attack. It deals piercing damage, and while it's not agile, it is still finesse, so you can use dexterity to hit with this, which I think is really cool. Throw this on something like a Kobold Ranger, and you'll always have something to do if something gets up close to you without sacrificing too much of your to-hit bonus. Then we have my personal favorite, Venom Tail Kobolds, which get access to a unique once-per-day action. Using the venom in your tail, you can poison one piercing or slashing weapon you're holding. If your next strike before the end of your turn hits and deals damage, the target suffers persistent poison damage equal to your level. Can we talk about this? Level 10 dealing 10 persistent poison damage on a heritage? That's amazing! And we're not done yet, because there are additional kobold heritages available in the Lost Omens Ancestry Guide supplement. You guys remember when I would make videos about things that are in multiple books? Because I've been covering new stuff, I haven't had to go back to like older multiple... This feels weird, but I like it. I'm not too sure why they felt the need to make the Cave Climber kobold when the Cavern kobold already existed, but the Cave Climber auto-crit succeeds normal athletics checks to climb that they succeed, and they can climb even if they are holding something in their hands. Their feet and tail are so tailored to climbing that they don't even need to use their hands. Pretty cool. They also get the Combat Climber skill feat. And the Tunnel Flood Kobold is adorable, and it gives you a 15-foot swim speed. That's really pretty cool, and I just got sad because I thought of the idea of a flood of water flooding through a kobold cave and all of them being dragged away, and now you're sad too. I don't know what it is, I think I just love kobolds, but I've had a stupid smile on my face this entire video. I'm not gonna apologize or anything, but I just think it's funny. I guess I just love kobolds. And it's nice to be talking about something so simple for a change. We're not talking about eidolons or innovations or spell strikes or robots. We're talking about kobolds. Let's talk about their first level feat, starting with cringe. I just love that it's called cringe. Cringe is a really weird reaction, but I kind of love the strange interaction it has. As a reaction, if you are aware that a creature is about to critically hit you and deal damage, you can use your reaction to cringe, giving them a circumstance penalty to the damage equal to your level +2. You don't gain resistance to the damage, they take a penalty to the damage, which is fascinating. Now, it's not as crazy as it sounds, because the penalty isn't applied until after they double their damage. If they roll 12 damage, double it to 24, then you apply the damage penalty, maybe reducing it to like 19. It's still really cool damage mitigation, and for a reaction you can use on any critical hit on you, it's not bad. You can only do this to the same target once per 24 hours, though. Dragon's presence is hilarious. You are filled with so much confidence that if you succeed a saving throw against a fear effect, you automatically crit succeed instead. That's really strong for a level 1 feat. But the confidence is also very fragile, so if you ever fail a saving throw against a fear effect, you crit fail instead. I love kobolds so much. Additionally, you're kind of a bully, so if any creature is your level or lower, you get a +1 circumstance bonus on demoralized checks against them. I love this freaking ancestry. Easily the most popular first level kobold feat is Kobold Breath. For 2 actions, you shoot out a mini dragon breath. This deals 1d4 damage in either a 30-foot line or a 15-foot cone, depending on your exemplar, and deals the same type of damage as your exemplar. All creatures within the area make a basic reflex save against either your class DC or your spell DC, whichever is higher, which is kinda cool, meaning Kobold Breath is a little bit more useful on something like a wizard, which I kinda like. Like normal Dragon Breath, you can't use it again for 1d4 rounds. At 3rd level and every 2 levels thereafter, if people didn't watch the Inventor video, they're not gonna understand that reference. The damage increases by 1d4, this basically scales like a cantrip. Kobold Lore. You become trained in Stealth and Thievery and the Kobold Lore skill, and if you are already trained in either of those, you gain a new skill instead. Scamper, another amazing kobold feat. If you are currently adjacent to an enemy, you can use 1 action to stride and gain a 5-foot speed bonus to that stride action. The only restriction is you cannot end your stride adjacent to an enemy. And it's any enemy, so you can't use this to get around someone, you can't use this to run over to a different enemy. This is specifically for running away, and I'm here for it. You also get a +2 circumstance bonus to armor class against any reactions triggered by that movement. This is actually more useful than it sounds. If you're in difficult terrain and you can't take the step action, this is a great backup. If you're a wizard or something and you can't stand being attack of opportunity, Scamper is really good. Snare Setter. You must be trained in crafting to take this feat, but I love that they added feats to support the kobold's crude trap nature. You not only gain the snare crafting skill feat, but you also gain access to all uncommon kobold snares. This also has really weird wording, because the prerequisite is trained in crafting. And when you take this feat, you become trained in crafting, or gain a new skill. I think it's probably been errated by now, but it's still weird, and I have the original version of the APG. Draconic Sycophant is an interesting feat over in the Ancestry guide, and just makes you better at dealing with dragons. You gain a +2 circumstance bonus to perception checks and saving throws against dragons. You could think of this as +2 to all Dragon Breath saving throws forever, which is really good. Additionally, you basically get the Glad Hand skill feat specifically for dragons. When you start talking to a dragon, you can roll diplomacy within the first minute of talking to them, granted at -5, to make a quick impression to try to make them like you. If you take the Glad Hand skill feat as well, you don't even take the -5. You can make an impression on that dragon just by introducing yourself and hopefully start at a better disposition. Very nice. This even gives you a second chance at diplomacy. If your first diplomacy check with a dragon fails, then after 1 minute of conversation, you can actually roll a new one to replace the failed initial check. Granted, you could replace a failure with a crit failure, and that would be hilarious, but if you roll a success, it's like the failure never happened, and it's fantastic. Kobold Weapon Familiarity. You become trained in the crossbow, great pick, light pick, and spears, because kobolds like mining out caves. You also gain access to all uncommon kobold weapons and reduce the level of proficiency required to use them. Martial kobold weapons are simple, and advanced kobold weapons are martial. And finally, the Slither feat at level 1, you gain Quick Squeeze even if you're not trained in acrobatics, and if you normal succeed at a skill check to squeeze, you crit succeed instead. Now let's talk about level 5 feats, which most kobolds don't live long enough to see. I mean from like a kobold enemy perspective, because you never see higher level kobolds! Can we talk about this? You never see kobolds past like level 3! That's why I released a pack on Patreon. It's going away soon. If you want access to 20 unique kobolds, I just uploaded the entire pack from Monster Month. It's all available right now. You can download it before it's gone by pledging at least $5 on my Patreon. Plug is over. Ally Shelter. I love these feats. Ally Shelter is a reaction you can use once per day, and if you are adjacent to an ally and making a saving throw, you can use their modifier instead of your own. Yes, if you're all making a fortitude save, the little kobold wizard can use the champion's fortitude modifier instead of his own. Very good reaction. We've cringed and scampered, so why not grovel too? This is a single action and requires trained in deception. This is a ranged feint that uses will DC instead of perception DC. This is actually kind of huge. First off, it allows you to make a creature flat-footed from a range. That's really difficult to do, let alone on a heritage. Ancestry, whatever this game is. If you have a crossbow or a short bow or something, this can be amazing, especially on something like a kobold ranger with a little bit of charisma. A lot of things like animals and lower intelligence creatures don't have a very high will DC. In fact, aside from enemy spellcasters, will is almost always the lowest saving throw available to target, so being able to feint against it is really, really solid. Snare Genius is an upgrade to snare crafting, but you don't need the level 1 kobold snares to take this. You just need expert proficiency in crafting and the snare crafting skill feat. This works exactly like the Ranger snare crafting feats and the snare crafter archetype, but it does get a bonus effect. If a creature ever critically fails its saving throw against one of your snares specifically, they become flat-footed until the end of its next turn. More than a full round of flat-footed just from a snare. Really fun, really cool. If you want to know more about exactly how snares work, watch this fun video I made last year. I really enjoyed this one and I want to do more videos like it, but there's just been too much content, Paizo! Kobold Weapon Innovator. You get the crit specialization effect for kobold weapons. Not very exciting. What is very exciting is Winglets. This is a level 5 feat that has your kobold grow tiny, tiny little baby wings. They're not even big enough to fly. They are big enough, however, to augment your jumps. When you leap for a single action, you can leap 5 feet farther, and if you long jump, you can long jump 10 feet farther without increasing the difficulty of the jump. That's not to be overlooked. Suddenly, you don't even need to roll to jump across a 10-foot gap, and if something's 20 feet long, that's a DC 10 athletics check. That's so easy. Winglets is really good, and it's a requirement for some really cool feats down the road. Keep in mind, even with the 10-foot bonus to long jump, you still can't long jump farther than your movement speed. Between the scales ain't bad. As long as you are attacking with an agile or unarmed strike, all of your attacks have the backstabber trait. This means if you're attacking a flat-footed target, you're either gaining +1 damage or +2 damage if you have greater striking. It's only unfortunate that it has to be melee and you can't do this with something like a short bow. That would be a really fun kobold build. Kobold? Dracomancer is a fun feat that lets you get a little bit more into your draconic heritage of your specific dragon color. Each dragon color does have spells associated with it in the bestiary, and Dracomancer allows you to take a first level spell and a second level spell that is associated with your color of dragon and cast them each once per day as innate arcane spells. What's really fascinating about this feat is that it grants magic, but you don't need to be a spell-scaled kobold. A lot of these have requirements from available heritages or lower level feats, but any kobold at level 9 can take this. And if you do, and you're not a spell-scaled kobold, of course, you become trained in arcane spells, and your spellcasting modifier is charisma, cause it's innate. If you took Kobold Breath at level 1, you can upgrade to full-on Dragon Breath at level 9. When using Kobold Breath, rather than dealing D4s, you can upgrade all of them to D8s, which at level 9 would be dealing 5d8. It also doubles the range of your breath weapon up to a 60-foot line or a 30-foot cone. However, if you choose to do all of this, the cooldown for your Kobold Breath is 1 hour instead of 1d4 rounds, so this is a fight ender. Briar Battler is a really, really fun feat that kind of turns Pathfinder 2e's combat on its head a little bit, and I would love to see a little more feats like it. If you are in difficult terrain, you can take cover. Even if there's nothing technically tall enough to take cover behind, you can use the take cover action, gaining +2 armor class just because you're in difficult terrain. That's a lot of fun. I like feats that break the rules. I like feats that let you do things you're not supposed to be able to do, but you can. There's that Inventor archetype for the armor that lets you hide without cover. I love stuff like that. It's super cool, and it's just nice to be able to say, you can't do this, but my character can. It's just a fun feeling, even if it's not super powerful. Close quarters. You are small enough that you can end your movement on the same space as an ally, with both of you being on the same spot. No more than 2 creatures can share a space, however. Dragon Blood Paragon is another type of feat I would love to see a little bit more of. It augments one of your other Ancestry feats, sort of like the Automaton does. If you have the Dracomancer Ancestry feat, you can cast both of those spells an additional time per day. Keep in mind, however, they are both level 9 feats, so you would have to take one of these at level 13. If you pick Kobold Breath, you deal 3d4 persistent damage of your breath damage type on crit failed reflex saves. Just a fun little upgrade to damage, and persistent damage is just always really fun. If you pick Strongjaw Kobold, you get the deadly D6 trait on your jaw attack, dealing an additional D6 of damage when you crit. And if you pick the Venom Tail Kobold Heritage, you can use Tail Toxin twice per day. Now, keep in mind, you can only pick one of these. Even if you have all 4 of, well, you can't have all 4 because there's 2 Heritage, but even if you have 3 of these, when you take Dragon Blood Paragon, you only upgrade one of them. Snare Commando is pretty cool. As a reaction, if a creature you see critically fails their saving throw against a snare you set, you can demoralize or create a distraction for free. Well, not for free, but using your reaction. Now, you can only do this if you have expert proficiency in the associated skills, so deception for create a diversion and intimidation for demoralize, and if you're expert in both, you can choose either or whenever you use this. Level 13's Elite Dracomancer is almost the exact same as Dracomancer, except you get a 3rd and 4th level spell to cast once per day each. Hatchling Flight is an upgrade to Winglets. For 1 action, once per round, you can fly up to half your speed. This is still incredibly limited. Remember, you can only do this once per round, and you fall at the end of the round. So you can effectively fly 10 feet and then fall. The good news is you really won't fly high enough to really hurt yourself. The bad news is that if something is 15 feet up, well, it's going to be a little harder to get there. But you could fly up and then grab a wall with a climb action. Kobold Weapon Expertise, you get expert proficiency in Kobold Weapon. Vicious Snares is awesome. If your snares happen to deal any damage, they also deal an additional 1d6 precision damage. Once you're level 15, that's only 2 levels away, if you bump your crafting up to Legendary, that precision damage becomes 2d6. And remember, precision damage is really hard to resist. This is an amazing upgrade for snares. And the final, and sadly only, level 17 feat available to kobolds is Wormling Flight. You gain a fly speed equal to your movement speed. This is fantastic. I think this is well balanced for an Ancestry to fly. This is a 3 Ancestry feat tax, but you get a permanent fly speed equal to your land speed. And those are our adorable, lovely, big-headed little kobold babies. I love them so much. I haven't really gotten to play one yet, but I really want to. I did play a human with a kobold in his brain, and that was a lot of fun, but I want to play a full-on kobold at some point. I think the next chance I get, I might play a kobold inventor. But how about you? Let me know in the comments, what kind of kobolds are you playing? Have you played? Do you want to play? I love hearing about your character ideas and concepts in the comments, so let me know. I read all of them, and it's always such a fun freaking read. Shout out to Roll for Combat for sponsoring this video. Be sure to check out their RPG Superstar contest using the link in the description or the pinned comment below. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. You know who else supports the channel? My amazing patrons. These incredible people help support me and let me keep doing what I'm doing. Thank you all so much. If you would also like to support me on Patreon, there is a link in the description. Thank you all so much for watching. Check out the merch. We got some cool stuff coming. Keep your eyes on nonat1s.com/store. There's some really tight stuff on the way. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And until next time, Nonat1s.